The auction hall smelled like rust and old oil. Byung-Soo walked between the rows of broken machinery, keeping his head down. Around him, aliens of different species pushed past without looking at him. To them, he was nothing. Just another human. In the galaxy, humans were ranked Tier 7, the lowest of the low. They could not own military ships. They could not enter the rich sectors of space. And they were completely forbidden from touching anything called legendary class technology. The punishment for breaking these rules was death. Byung-Soo did not care about legendary ships. He only wanted to find cheap engine parts for his old cargo hauler. The ship was falling apart, and he needed it to keep working so he could feed himself and his sister. His communicator buzzed. Yuna's voice came through, sharp and clear. "Brother, how much have you spent?" "Nothing yet," Byung-Soo said quietly. "Still looking." "Good. We have exactly 400 credits. If you waste them on garbage again, we will starve next month." "I know, Yuna, I know." He ended the call and kept walking. His sister was always worried, always planning. She was smarter than him in many ways, but sometimes her constant warnings made his head hurt. The auction was held on Station 12, a place at the edge of civilized space. Here, the rules were softer. Criminals, traders, and desperate people came here to buy and sell things that could not be sold elsewhere. The station masters were Cassari, one of the 3 ruling species of the Galactic Concordat. They had 4 arms and skin like gray stone. They looked at humans the way humans looked at insects. Byung-Soo stopped at a pile of twisted metal. The sign said, "Engine components, mixed lot." He picked through the pile and found nothing useful. Everything was too damaged or too old. He was about to leave when something caught his eye. In the corner of the hall, away from the other items, sat a small ship. It was covered in dirt and corrosion. The hull was dark, almost black, and it had a strange shape that Byung-Soo did not recognize. It looked like no ship he had ever seen before. A bored Cassari guard stood next to it. The sign read, "Unknown origin, derelict hull. Starting bid, 50 credits. 50 credits for an entire ship?" That was almost nothing. Byung-Soo walked closer. The ship was small, maybe big enough for 4 or 5 people. Parts of it were covered in strange symbols that he could not read. The metal had a strange quality to it. Even under all the dirt, it seemed to absorb the light around it. "What is this?" he asked the guard. The Cassari looked at him with disgust. "Garbage. No one knows what species made it. The computers cannot identify the design. It has no power, no working systems. It is scrap metal. Why is it so cheap? Because no one wants it, human. It sat in a dead system for centuries. A mining crew found it and sold it to us. We have tried to sell it for 3 years. No one buys." The guard laughed. "Maybe you should buy it. It would match your status. Garbage for garbage." The other aliens nearby laughed. Byung-Soo felt his face grow hot with shame, but he did not respond. He had learned long ago that arguing with the ruling species only brought pain. But he kept looking at the ship. Something about it called to him. He could not explain the feeling. It was like a whisper in his mind, telling him to move closer. The auction began an hour later. The main items sold for thousands of credits. Rich Velith merchants bought military parts. Mare nobles purchased luxury goods. Humans like Byung-Soo stood in the back and watched, waiting for the cheap lots at the end. When the strange ship came up for bidding, the auctioneer seemed embarrassed. "Next item. Unknown vessel, origin unclear. Starting bid, 50 credits." No one raised their hand. 50 credits? Anyone? Silence. The auctioneer sighed. 40 credits? Still nothing. The aliens were already looking at their communicators, bored. 30 credits. This is final. Byung-Soo raised his hand. The auctioneer looked surprised to see a human bidding. 30 credits to the Tier 7. Any other bids? No one spoke. Sold. Take your garbage and leave. Byung-Soo paid the 30 credits and received a data chip with the ownership transfer. His heart was beating fast. He did not know why he had done it. Yuna was going to be furious. He called her on the way to the docking bay. You did what? Her voice was so loud he had to hold the communicator away from his ear. I bought a ship. With what money? We needed those credits for food. It was only 30 credits, Yuna, and it might have parts we can sell. Please, just trust me. She was quiet for a long moment. Fine. Bring it to the cargo bay. But if this is worthless junk, you are eating nothing but protein paste for the next 2 months. Byung-Soo attached the tow cable to the small ship and pulled it into space. It floated behind his cargo hauler like a dead fish. Up close, in the light of the nearby star, he could see more of the strange symbols on its hull. They looked almost like writing, but in a language that did not exist in any database. When they reached the cargo bay of their main ship, Yuna was waiting with her arms crossed. She was shorter than Byung-Soo, but somehow she always seemed larger when she was angry. This is what you spent our money on. Just let me look inside, Byung-Soo said. If there is nothing useful, I will sell it for scrap metal. We might even make a profit. Yuna shook her head but stepped aside. Byung-Soo found the hatch after searching for 10 minutes. It was hidden in the hull, almost invisible. He pressed his hand against it, trying to find a way to open it. The moment his skin touched the metal, everything changed. Light exploded from the ship. The symbols on the hull began to glow with a soft blue light. A sound filled the cargo bay, like a great machine waking from a long sleep. The hatch slid open on its own. Byung-Soo stumbled back, his heart pounding. What did you do? Yuna shouted. I did not do anything. I just touched it. The inside of the ship was glowing now. Screens that had been dark for thousands of years flickered to life. Text began scrolling across every surface, written in a language that the Galactic Concordat had declared dead 40,000 years ago. The language of the architects. The architects were legends, myths. They were the ancient species that had built the hyperlanes, the great pathways that allowed ships to travel across the galaxy. They had disappeared before any current species had achieved spaceflight. Their technology was considered sacred, holy, and completely forbidden to anyone except the highest rulers of the Concordat. And now, their ship was coming alive under Byung-Soo's touch. A voice spoke from the walls. It was broken, crackling, and it took several seconds for the translation systems to process it into words Byung-Soo could understand. Genetic scan complete. Human species designation. Compatible. Neural pattern acceptable. Bond initiated. Bond? Byung-Soo whispered. What bond? The voice spoke again, stronger this time. Bonded. The screens flashed, and suddenly Byung-Soo felt something connect to his mind. It was not painful. It was like a door opening inside his head, showing him rooms he never knew existed. He could feel the ship. He could feel its age, its long sleep, its patient waiting. He could feel its joy at finally finding him. Yuna grabbed his arm. Byung-Soo, what is happening? He looked at her, his eyes wide with shock and wonder. I think, he said slowly, I just bought a legendary ship. Outside, in the cold depths of space, the ship's ancient registration beacon activated for the first time in 40,000 years. It sent out a single pulse of energy that traveled across the galaxy at speeds faster than light. Every major power in the Concordat received the signal. A legendary ship had awakened, and it had bonded to a human. 3 days. That was how long they had before the warships arrived. Yuna calculated this while Byung-Soo sat inside the legendary ship, still trying to understand what had happened to him. The bond was strange. He could feel the ship in his mind, like a quiet presence that was always there. When he thought about the engines, he somehow knew they were at 12% power. When he wondered about the hull, he understood that it was repairing itself slowly. The ship spoke to him sometimes, not in words, but in feelings and images. It had been alone for so long. 40,000 years of floating in darkness, waiting for someone to find it. Now it was happy. Now it had a purpose again. "We need to move," Yuna said, entering the cargo bay. I tracked the signal that the ship sent out. Every major fleet in this sector received it. The Velith are sending 3 cruisers. The Mari have dispatched a recovery team. And the Cassari? She paused. The Cassari have sent a battle group. A battle group? For one small ship? This is a legendary vessel, Byung-Soo. They will start a war over this. Byung-Soo looked at the ship. In the past 3 days, it had changed. The dirt and corrosion had fallen away, revealing smooth black metal underneath. The strange symbols on the hull now glowed faintly, pulsing with a rhythm that matched Byung-Soo's heartbeat. "Can we hide?" he asked. "Maybe. There is an asteroid field 2 days from here. The sensors there are bad. If we shut down all power and drift, they might not find us." "And then what?" Yuna sat down across from him. For the first time, she looked tired. "I do not know, brother. I have been thinking about this for 3 days, and I do not have an answer. If we keep the ship, we become criminals. The Concordat will hunt us forever. They will kill us, and they might even punish other humans because of what we did. And if we give it up, then we go back to being nothing. We go back to our broken cargo hauler and our protein paste and our empty lives." Byung-Soo closed his eyes. Through the bond, he felt the ship react to his emotions. It did not want to be given away. It had waited so long for him. The thought of being abandoned again filled it with something that felt like fear. "I cannot give it up," he said quietly. "I know that sounds crazy, but I can feel it, Yuna. This ship, it chose me. It needs me. Ships do not need people. This one does. The architects built them to bond with their pilots. The bond is permanent. It cannot be transferred to anyone else." Yuna frowned. "How do you know that?" "The ship told me. Not in words. It is hard to explain. But I know things now that I did not know before. I know that this ship was called a Scout-class vessel. I know that it was designed to explore dangerous space. And I know that the architects did not just disappear. They were betrayed. Betrayed by who?" Byung-Soo opened his eyes. "By the ancestors of the Velith, the Mari, and the Cassari. They rose up against the architects, killed them, and stole their technology. Everything the Concordat has, everything they claim as their own, was taken from the architects." Yuna stared at him. "That cannot be true. The Concordat has existed for thousands of years. Their history says, their history is a lie. The ship showed me memories. I saw the architects die. I saw their cities burn. I saw the 3 species take everything and then rewrite the records so that no one would ever know the truth." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Outside the cargo bay, the stars were cold and silent. Somewhere out there, warships were racing toward them, carrying soldiers who would kill them without mercy. "Even if that is true," Yuna said slowly, "it does not change our situation. The Concordat controls the galaxy. They have the power. We are just 2 humans with an old ship. Not just any old ship. This ship was made to survive. The architects knew they might be attacked. They built vessels that could hide, that could run, that could fight if necessary. and they built them to bond only with certain species. Certain species? Myung-soo nodded. The architects knew they might not survive, so they seeded their technology with genetic locks. Only species that carried specific markers could bond with legendary ships. The Velith cannot bond with them. The Morai cannot. The Cassari cannot. They have possessed these ships for thousands of years, but they have never been able to fully use them. But you can. Yes, humans carry the genetic marker. That is why the Concordat has always kept us at the bottom. That is why they forbid us from going near legendary technology. They are not afraid that we will damage it. They are afraid that we will wake it up. Yuna stood and walked to the viewport. Outside, the cargo bay opened to the emptiness of space. She stared at the distant stars for a long time. "If what you say is true," she said, "then this changes everything. Humans are not inferior. We were chosen. Yes. And the Concordat knows this. They have always known. Yes." She turned back to him. There was something new in her eyes. Not fear, not worry. Something harder. Something that looked like anger. "Then we run," she said. "We hide in the asteroid field, and we let the ship repair itself. And when it is ready, we find others like us. Other humans who need to know the truth." Byung-soo smiled. It was the first time he had smiled in days. "You believe me?" "I believe that you believe it. And I believe that the Concordat is sending a battle group after 2 humans in a junk ship. They would not do that if we were not dangerous to them." She walked toward the exit. "I will set a course for the asteroid field. You stay with your ship. Learn everything you can. Yuna?" She stopped. "The ship needs a name." "I was thinking Duri. It means 2 in the old language. Because there are 2 of us now. Me and the ship. Or me and you." Yuna considered this. "Duri. I like it." She left, and Byung-soo was alone with the ship again. He placed his hand on the wall, and the metal was warm under his fingers. "Duri," he said softly. "Your name is Duri." The ship pulsed with light, and through the bond, Byung-soo felt something like happiness. They reached the asteroid field 18 hours later. The rocks here were massive, some of them larger than cities. The sensors were confused by the mineral deposits and the radiation from a nearby dead star. It was the perfect place to hide. Yun powered down everything except the essential systems. Their cargo hauler drifted between the asteroids like a piece of debris. Inside the cargo bay, Duri floated in darkness, its lights dim but still pulsing with life. Byung-soo spent the time learning. The bond grew stronger each day. He could now access some of the ship's basic systems, though much of it was still locked. The ship needed more power before it could fully awaken. It needed time. On the second day, the warships arrived. Byung-soo felt them through Duri's sensors before Yuna's screens showed anything. 3 Velith cruisers, fast and deadly. A Morai recovery vessel, designed to capture and contain alien technology. And the Cassari battle group. 8 heavy warships, carrying enough weapons to destroy a small moon. They spread out across the sector, scanning everything. Search drones flew into the asteroid field, their lights sweeping through the darkness. "They are looking for the signal," Yuna whispered. "They traced it here." "Duri has stopped sending signals," Byung-soo said. "The ship understands the danger. It is hiding. Can they detect us?" "I do not think so. But they will keep looking. They will not give up easily." For 5 days, they hid among the rocks. The search drones came close several times, their lights passing just meters from the cargo bay. Each time, Byung-soo held his breath and felt Duri draw inward, making itself as small and quiet as possible. On the 5th day, the warships left. The admirals decided that the signal must have been a malfunction. They reported to their governments that no legendary ship had been found. Byeongsu and Yuna waited another 2 days before powering up their systems again. They will be back, Yuna said. They know something is out here. They will keep watching. Then we cannot stay, Byeongsu replied. We need to run. Far away, where they cannot follow. Where can we go that the Concordat cannot reach? Byeongsu smiled. Through the bond, Duri was showing him something. A map. Ancient coordinates that pointed to places beyond Concordat space. Places where other legendary ships had hidden themselves. Everywhere, he said. We can go everywhere. Yuna looked at him, and slowly she began to smile too. They left the asteroid field that night, their cargo hauler limping along while Duri hid inside. Ahead of them lay unknown space and certain danger. Behind them, the Concordat was already preparing new search parties. But for the first time in their lives, Byeongsu and Yuna were not afraid. They had a legendary ship. They had the truth. And they had each other. It was enough. The outer territories were lawless and empty. Here, the Concordat's power was weak. Pirates, smugglers, and refugees lived in the darkness between stars, building stations from stolen ships and broken dreams. Byeongsu and Yuna had been running for 3 weeks. Their cargo hauler was barely functioning, held together by tape and hope. But inside the cargo bay, Duri was getting stronger every day. The ship was now at 30% power. Its hull gleamed like black glass. Its systems hummed with ancient energy. And the Concordat was hunting them. Every station they passed showed their faces on wanted screens. The bounty was enormous. 1 million credits alive. 500,000 dead. To the desperate people of the outer territories, that was a fortune. We need supplies, Yuna said, studying their inventory. Food, fuel, medical equipment. We cannot keep running on nothing. Every port is watching for us. Not every port. There is a place called Haven Station. It is run by humans. Refugees, mostly. They do not answer to the Concordat. Byeongsu felt a spark of hope. A human station? I did not know such things existed. They are rare. And they are poor. But they are free. Yuna set the coordinates. It is 2 days from here. Can Duri hide for that long? Through the bond, Byeongsu asked the ship. Duri responded with a feeling of confidence. Yes, it could hide. They traveled in silence, staying away from the main hyperlanes. Twice, they detected Concordat patrol ships in the distance, but the patrols did not see them. Duri's hiding abilities were beyond anything modern technology could match. Haven Station appeared on their sensors like a cluster of lights against the darkness. It was built from dozens of old ships welded together, spinning slowly to create gravity. Human ships floated around it, small and worn, but still flying. A voice crackled over the radio. Unknown vessel, identify yourself. Yuna spoke carefully. This is the cargo hauler, Sunset. We are seeking supplies and repairs. Sunset, we do not recognize your registration. Are you Concordat? No, we are human. We are running from the Concordat. There was a long pause. Then the voice returned, warmer this time. Welcome to Haven, sister. Dock at Port 7. We will help if we can. The station was old and crowded, but it was clean. Humans of all ages walked through the corridors, trading, talking, living. Children played in the open spaces. Old people sat and watched. It was the first time Byeongsu had seen so many humans in one place. A man met them at the dock. He was older, with gray hair and a kind face. His name was Do-won, and he was one of the station's elders. You are the ones the Concordat is hunting, he said. It was not a question. Byeongsu tensed. How did you know? We have eyes everywhere. And we know about your ship. Dawan smiled. Do not worry. We will not betray you. The Concordat has taken everything from us. We would never help them. He led them through the station, showing them the markets and the repair bays. Along the way, he talked about the history of Haven. It was built 50 years ago by human refugees who had fled Concordat space. They had nothing, but they survived. They grew. Now Haven was home to nearly 2,000 people. We've always dreamed of freedom, Dohan said. Real freedom. Not the scraps that the Concordat gives us. But we are weak. We have no weapons, no power. We survive by being invisible. Things might change, Yuna said quietly. Dowan looked at her with sharp eyes. Because of your ship? The legendary vessel? You know about it? Everyone knows. The Concordat is trying to keep it secret, but word has spread. A human has bonded with an architect ship. It is the first time in history. He stopped and faced them. If this is true, then everything we believed might be wrong. The Concordat told us that humans were inferior, that we could never match the elder races. But if a human can bond with a legendary ship, then we were lied to, Bayansu finished. Dowan nodded slowly. Yes, we were lied to. They stayed at Haven for 4 days. Yuna bought supplies while Byung-Su worked on their cargo hauler. But the most important thing that happened was meeting Taiho. Taiho was a thin man with nervous hands and brilliant eyes. He had worked as an engineer at a Velas shipyard, one of the only humans ever allowed near their sacred construction base. He understood technology better than almost anyone alive. And then the Velith had expelled him. They said I contaminated their holy workspace, Taiho explained, his voice bitter. I touched one of their legendary relics. I did not mean to. It was an accident. But they threw me out and banned me from ever working again. What happened when you touched it? Byung-Su asked. Taiho's eyes went distant. It reacted. Just for a moment. The symbols on the surface lit up. The Velith were terrified. They nearly killed me on the spot. Because you might have bonded with it? I do not know. They never let me near it again. Taiho looked at Dory, hidden in the cargo bay. But when I heard about your ship, I knew I had to find you. I have spent my whole life studying architect technology from a distance. Now I have a chance to actually touch it. Byung-Su considered. Through the bond, he asked Dory what it thought of the stranger. The ship responded with curiosity and acceptance. It sensed no danger from this man. Come with us, Byung-Su said. Help us restore the ship. Learn everything you can. Taiho's face lit up with joy. Yes, I will come. The next morning, they left Haven Station. Their cargo hauler now carried 3 passengers instead of 2, and their supplies would last for weeks. Dory floated in the cargo bay, its lights pulsing with anticipation. They traveled deeper into the outer territories, following the ancient coordinates that Dory had revealed. The ship was sharing more of its memories now. Byung-Su saw images of the architects. Tall, graceful beings with silver skin and eyes like stars. He saw their cities, beautiful beyond imagination. He saw their ships, fleets of thousands, crossing the galaxy. And he saw their destruction. The betrayal had been sudden. The 3 species that would become the Concordat had attacked without warning. They used the architects' own technology against them, weapons that the architects had shared freely. The war lasted less than a year. By the end, every architect was dead. They did not just kill them, Dory explained through feelings and images. They erased them. They destroyed every record, every monument, every trace of their existence. They wanted the galaxy to forget. Why? Byung-Su asked. Because of what they stole. The hyperlanes, the great engines, the legendary ships, all of it was built by the architects. The Concordat took it all and claimed it as their own. If anyone knew the truth, their power would collapse. Taiho listened to Byung-Su's explanations with growing excitement. This confirms everything I suspected. The Velith technology I studied, it never made sense. There were gaps in the design, places where systems connected to things that did not exist anymore. I thought they were mistakes. Now I understand. They removed the architect parts and tried to pretend the technology was theirs. Can you restore those parts? Yuna asked. Maybe. If I can study Duri fully, I might be able to understand how the original systems worked. Taiho turned to Byung-Su. Your ship is the key. It is a complete architect vessel, unchanged for 40,000 years. Everything the Concordat tried to hide is still inside it. They worked together over the following weeks. Taiho examined every system, every circuit, every piece of ancient technology. Duri allowed him access, sensing that he meant no harm. The ship's power levels rose steadily, 40%, then 50%, then 60%. At 60%, new systems came online. Weapon systems, shield generators, a faster-than-light drive that made even the best Concordat engines look like toys. And something else, a communication array that could reach across the entire galaxy. The architects built a network, Duri explained to Byung-Su. All legendary ships are connected. When one awakes, the others can hear it. Are there others? Other ships like you? Many, hidden, sleeping, waiting for what? The ship's response came as a wave of certainty and hope. Waiting for people like you. Byung-Su shared this with Yuna and Taiho. The three of them sat in the cargo bay, surrounded by Duri's soft glow, and thought about what this meant. If we can find other legendary ships, Yuna said slowly, and if other humans can bond with them, then humans would have power, Taiho finished. Real power. Enough to challenge the Concordat. Is that what we want? Byung-Su asked. To challenge them? To start a war? Yuna's face was hard. They have kept us as slaves for thousands of years. They have killed us, stolen from us, and told us we were worthless. If we have the chance to end that, should we not take it? Byung-Su had no answer. But through the bond, he felt Duri's silent support. The ship did not want war, but it wanted its people's legacy to be remembered. It wanted the truth to be known. Perhaps that was enough. At the edge of the outer territories, a Concordat scout ship detected a strange energy signature. The captain reported it to his commanders. The commanders reported it to the High Council. The hunt for the human and his legendary ship was about to begin again. And this time, the Concordat would send everything they had. Word spread faster than light. On mining stations and refugee camps, on cargo ships and hidden colonies, humans heard the story. One of their own had bonded with a legendary ship. One of their own had awakened something that the Concordat feared. For the first time in generations, humans began to hope. Messages started arriving at Haven Station. Some were simple. We believe in you. Others were more useful. Coordinates to hidden caches. Locations where previous generations had stored forbidden technology. A century of secret resistance, passed down through whispers, was now being shared openly. Doan, the old historian from Haven, joined their growing crew. He brought with him data chips filled with forbidden records, the true history of humanity's oppression, preserved despite every attempt to destroy it. Our ancestors knew the truth, he told them. They could not fight back, but they could remember. Every generation, we passed the knowledge to the next, waiting for the day when someone would come who could use it. That day is now, Yuna said. They were no longer running. They were gathering. Yunji found them first. She was a former soldier, a woman with cold eyes and steady hands. She had served in the Concordat military for 15 years, fighting their wars and following their orders. Then she had watched them abandon an entire human colony to pirates, because the colonists were not worth protecting. She had deserted that night and had been hunted ever since. "I have nothing left," she said when she boarded their ship. "No family, no home, no future. But I know how to fight. And I want to fight for something that matters." Byung-Soo looked at her carefully. Through Dory's bond, he could sense her emotions, anger, pain, but also a deep and desperate need for purpose. The ship did not fear her. It welcomed her. "We need soldiers," he said. "Welcome aboard." Myra came next. She was young, barely 20 years old. She had grown up on a refugee station at the edge of known space. She had never seen Earth, never walked on a planet's surface, never felt real sunlight on her skin. But she could fly anything with an engine. "I heard you have a legendary ship," she said, her eyes wide with wonder. "I want to fly it." "No one can fly Dory except me," Byung-Soo explained. "The bond does not allow it." Mira's face fell, but only for a moment. "Then teach me to fly other ships. Whatever ships you find, I will be ready." Yuna saw something in the young woman. Potential. Fire. "We will find you a ship," she promised. A good one. Their crew was small but growing. 5 humans against the entire Concordat seemed hopeless. But Dory was now at 80% power, and its ancient systems were revealing more secrets every day. The communication array was fully active now. Taiho had learned to operate it, sending signals deep into space. And signals were coming back. "There are at least 12 other legendary ships still intact," he reported, his voice shaking with excitement. "Scattered across the galaxy. Most are heavily damaged, but they are alive. They are waiting. Waiting for what? For pilots? For people who carry the genetic marker." Taiho looked at Byung-Soo. "For humans." Yuna took charge of planning. She was natural at it, her mind processing information faster than anyone else. She mapped the locations of the dormant ships, calculated travel times, and identified the safest routes. "We cannot reach them all," she admitted. "The Concordat is watching too closely. But we might be able to reach 1 or 2 before they catch us." "Which ones?" She pointed to a spot on the map. "There is a ship hidden inside a moon called Darem 4. It is in neutral space, beyond Concordat jurisdiction. If we can get there, we might be able to wake it up. And then we have 2 legendary ships instead of 1. Then we are twice as dangerous." The journey to Darem 4 took 3 weeks. They traveled carefully, hiding their signatures, avoiding patrol routes. Dory guided them through the darkness, using paths that had not been traveled in 40,000 years. Along the way, they received more messages. Human communities across the galaxy were waking up. Some were organizing resistance cells. Others were sharing resources and information. For the first time, humans were working together as a species. The Concordat noticed. The High Council issued a declaration. If the humans did not surrender, the legendary ship within 30 days, the entire species would be relocated. Everyone understood what that meant. Genocide. "They are bluffing," Yunji said. "Humans make up 15% of the labor force. They cannot afford to lose us." "They are not bluffing," Dohwan replied quietly. "I have seen what they do to species that threaten them. The Kirax, the Vumloth, the Hollow People. All gone, all forgotten. They will kill every human in the galaxy if they think it necessary." The weight of that truth settled over the crew. They were not just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for their entire species. Byeon Jisoo felt the pressure crushing him. He had never asked for this. He had just wanted to find engine parts. Now the fate of billions rested on his shoulders. Yuna found him alone in Duri's control room, staring at the stars. "You are thinking too much," she said. "How can I not? If I fail, everyone dies. If you do nothing, everyone dies anyway. At least this way, we have a chance." She sat beside him. "I have been thinking about our parents. Do you remember them?" Byung-Soo nodded. Their parents had died when they were children, killed in a mining accident that the Concordat had called unavoidable. They had been raised by other refugees, passed from family to family, learning to survive on nothing. "They would be proud," Yuna said. "They always told us that humans were special, that one day we would prove it. I never believed them. But now you do? Now I know they were right." She stood and offered him her hand. "Come, the crew needs their captain." Byung-Soo took her hand and let her pull him to his feet. Through the bond, Duri hummed with encouragement. The ship believed in him. His sister believed in him. Perhaps it was time to believe in himself. They reached Darum 4 on schedule. The moon was a frozen rock, lifeless and forgotten. But deep inside its core, Duri's sensors detected something else. Another legendary ship, dormant but intact. "It is a carrier-class vessel," Taiho reported, his voice awed. "Much larger than Duri. It can hold hundreds of smaller ships inside it. Can we reach it?" "There is a tunnel system leading to the core. Natural caves, mostly. We can navigate them if we are careful." Byung-Soo led the team into the moon's depths. Yoonji came with him, her weapons ready. Mira stayed with the cargo hauler, monitoring communications. Yuna coordinated everything from Duri. The caves were dark and cold. Byung-Soo's breath frosted in front of him. But with every step, he felt something growing stronger ahead. Another presence. Another ship. They found it in a vast underground chamber. It was enormous, 10 times the size of Duri, and covered in the same black metal and glowing symbols. Ice had formed around it over the millennia, creating a crystal shell that sparkled in their flashlights. "Beautiful?" Yoonji whispered. Byung-Soo approached the hull. When his hand touched the metal, light exploded through the chamber. The ice cracked and fell away. Ancient systems began to wake, but this time, the ship did not bond with him. Instead, it reached out towards something else. Someone else. On the cargo hauler, Myra suddenly gasped. Her eyes went wide. Her hands flew to her temples as something connected to her mind. "What is happening to me?" She cried over the radio. Byung-Soo understood immediately. "It is choosing you, Mira. The ship is bonding with you." "What? But I am nobody. I am just a refugee." "No," Byung-Soo smiled. "You are a pilot. And now you have a ship." The carrier-class vessel shook off 40,000 years of sleep and rose into the air. Its massive form filled the chamber, then pushed through the rock above as if it were made of paper. It emerged from the moon like a god rising from the earth, and Mira rose with it. 2 legendary ships now orbited Darum 4, one small and fast, one vast and powerful. Both bonded to humans. The Concordat sensors detected them instantly. Alert signals screamed across the galaxy. Emergency fleets were dispatched. The High Council fell into chaos. Byung-Soo stood on Duri's bridge and looked at the carrier floating beside them. Through their bond, he could feel Myra's shock and joy and terror all mixed together. "What do we do now?" she asked. Byung-Soo thought about the 30-day deadline. He thought about the billions of humans waiting to see what would happen. He thought about his parents, dead in a mine, and all the humans who had suffered under the Concordat's rule. Then he opened a broadcast channel. Every frequency, every system, the entire galaxy could hear. "This is Byung-Soo. I am human. I am bonded to a legendary ship. I have a message for the Concordat. He paused, letting the words sink in. We will not surrender. We will not hide. If you want these ships, come and take them. Yuna smiled fiercely beside him. If you hurt our people, Byung-Su continued, we will not rest until your lies are exposed and your stolen power is returned to its rightful owners. The architects are dead, but their legacy lives. And it lives in us. He ended the transmission. Across the galaxy, humans cheered. And the Concordat began to assemble the largest fleet in history. The final battle was coming. The hollow expanse was a dead region of space. No stars burned here. No planets orbited in the darkness. It was the place where the architects had made their last stand 40,000 years ago, and the emptiness still echoed with their deaths. This was where the Concordat had chosen to end the human rebellion. 200 warships formed a wall of metal and light. Velith cruisers, their hulls gleaming white. Mare destroyers, bristling with weapons. Cassari battle carriers, each one as large as a city. Together, they represented the combined might of the three ruling species. Against them floated 2 legendary ships and a crew of 6 humans. Byung-Su stood on Dory's bridge, feeling the ship's presence in his mind. The bond was complete now. He did not control Dory. He was Dory. Every sensor was his eye. Every engine was his heart. Every weapon was his hand. Beside him, Yuna studied the tactical display. Taiho monitored the ship's systems. Dohan sat quietly, recording everything for history. Yunji stood ready, her weapons charged. And somewhere in the massive carrier that floated nearby, Myra was experiencing the same transformation. Her young mind was merging with an ancient vessel, gaining power beyond imagination. The Concordat Admiral's voice crackled through the communication system. Human vessel, this is your final warning. Power down your systems and surrender. You are outnumbered and outmatched. There is no scenario in which you survive. Byung-Su smiled. There is one scenario. And what is that? The one where we win. He closed the channel and turned to his crew. Everyone ready? They nodded. No one spoke. Words were not needed. Byung-Su closed his eyes and became the ship. Dory exploded into motion. To the Concordat sensors, it simply vanished. One moment, it was floating in space. The next, it was inside their formation, tearing through a Velith cruiser like paper. The ancient weapons fired not missiles or lasers, but something else. Something that the modern galaxy had forgotten. Reality itself seemed to bend around the beams of light. Ships that were struck did not explode. They simply stopped existing. Myra followed with the carrier. Her vessel was slower but vastly more powerful. It absorbed weapons fire without flinching. Its shields were not technology. They were something closer to magic. When the carrier returned fire, entire squadrons disappeared. The battle should have been one-sided. 200 against 2. But the Concordat had never faced true architect technology before. Their stolen relics, incomplete and poorly understood, were nothing compared to fully awakened legendary ships. And they had never faced humans in full control. Byung-Su did not fight like a Velith or a Mare or a Cassari. He did not follow patterns. He did not obey formations. He moved through the battle like water, changing direction without warning, attacking where least expected. His mind was chaotic, creative, unpredictable. The Concordat admirals could not keep up. How is this possible? The Velith commander screamed. Our computers cannot predict its movements. It is fighting without logic, a Mare officer replied. It makes no sense. But it did make sense. It made human sense. Every twist and turn was instinct, emotion, improvisation. The very qualities that the Concordat had dismissed as weaknesses were now destroying their fleet. Inside the carrier, Yoonji led a boarding party. When Concordat flagships came too close, she and a team of volunteers used ancient teleportation technology to appear inside their bridges. The fighting was brutal and short. Human soldiers against alien commanders who had never faced real combat. The humans won every time. Dohan broadcast the truth across every frequency. The real history of the architects. The betrayal. The theft. The lies. Every species in the galaxy heard the message. Races that had been subjugated, dismissed, or forgotten heard that they were not inferior. They had simply been conquered. The Concordat tried to jam the signal, but architect technology was beyond their ability to block. The truth spread like fire. And then something unexpected happened. Other ships began to join the battle. Not Concordat ships. Ships from the lower-ranked species. Ships from humans who had been watching from hidden stations. Ships that had no business fighting against the most powerful fleets in the galaxy. They came anyway. A ragged fleet of 50 vessels emerged from hyperspace. Then 100. Then 200. They were small, weak, and poorly armed. But together, they forced the Concordat to split their attention. "We are with you," a human captain called out. "All of humanity is watching. We will not let you fight alone." Byung-Soo felt tears on his face. Through the bond, Duri shared his emotion. After 40,000 years of waiting, the architect's legacy was finally being claimed. The battle lasted 4 hours. By the end, the Concordat fleet was broken. Half their ships were destroyed. A quarter had surrendered. The rest were fleeing. The 3 ruling species had been defeated by 2 legendary ships and a species they had considered the lowest of the low. When the last enemy vessel disappeared, silence fell over the hollow expanse. Byung-Soo floated in the center of the ancient battlefield, surrounded by the wreckage of empires. Yuna's voice came through the intercom. "Byung-Soo? Are you okay?" He opened his eyes. For a moment, he did not remember who he was. He had been the ship for so long that returning to his human body felt strange. "I am okay," he said finally. "We won! We won," Yuna repeated. There was wonder in her voice. "We actually won." The crew gathered on Duri's bridge. Everyone was exhausted, wounded in spirit if not in body. The weight of what they had done was only beginning to settle. "What happens now?" Myra asked. She had disconnected from the carrier and returned to Duri to be with the others. Her eyes still had a distant look, half human and half something greater. "The Concordat will not give up," Yoonji said. "They will rebuild. They will come back." "Maybe," Owan agreed. "But not soon. And when they do, they will face a different galaxy. The truth is out now. Every species knows what they did. Their power was built on lies, and lies do not survive the light." "And the legendary ships?" Taiho asked. "The others that are still dormant?" Byung-Soo felt Duri's answer before he spoke it. "They are waking up. Across the galaxy, the signals are spreading. Other ships are responding. Other humans are being called. How many? I do not know. Dozens, maybe hundreds." He smiled. "Enough." Yuna stepped to the viewport and looked out at the stars. The hollow expanse was empty no longer. The human fleet, ragged and proud, floated among the debris. Rescue ships were already arriving to help the wounded. "What do we do now?" she asked softly. Byung-Soo stood beside her. Through Duri, he could feel the distant pole of small blue planet. A world that humans had left generations ago, scattered across the galaxy like seeds thrown to the wind. "Now we go home," he said. "Earth? It has been centuries since any of us lived there. It is just a story now, a legend. Then we make it real again. We have legendary ships. We have the truth. We have each other." He turned to face his crew. The architects built their vessels to explore, to discover, to connect. They wanted their legacy to live on through species who would use their technology for good. I think that is what we should do. Dohwan nodded slowly. Build something new. Not an empire. Not a concordat. Something better. A family, Myra said. A really big family. Yunji almost smiled. I suppose I could get used to that. Taiho was already calculating. If we combine architect technology with human creativity, we could rebuild the hyperlanes. We could connect every species, every world. No more tiers. No more ranks, just people. Yuna looked at her brother. They had started this journey with nothing but a broken cargo hauler and 30 credits. Now they had changed the course of history. Are you sure about this? She asked. It will not be easy. It might take the rest of our lives. Byung-Soo thought about everything that had happened. The scrap auction. The awakening. The running and hiding and fighting. All of it had led here, to this moment, to this choice. He thought about their parents, who had believed that humans were special. He thought about the architects, who had waited 40,000 years for someone to find their ships. He thought about all the humans scattered across the galaxy, looking up at the stars and hoping for something better. I am sure, he said. Duri hummed with agreement. The ship set its course, and for the first time in 40,000 years, an architect vessel turned toward the small blue planet that its pilot's ancestors had once called home. Behind them, the carrier followed. And behind the carrier came the human fleet. And behind the fleet came the truth, spreading across the galaxy like dawn breaking over an endless night. The Concordat had called humans inferior. They had pushed them down, kept them weak, tried to make them forget who they really were. They had failed. And now, finally, humanity was coming home. Not as refugees. Not as slaves. Not as Tier 7 garbage. As legends. The stars burned bright around them. The darkness retreated. And somewhere in the vast emptiness of space, other legendary ships began to stir, their ancient systems flickering to life as they sensed the change coming. The architect's final gift was waking up, and humanity would be there to receive it.